Rahim. So thank you very much. The title of today's session is Remittances to Pakistan, Financial Inclusion and Growth of Digital Economy. So good morning. Thank you for attending this event organized by Remit One. It's called Innovation in Payments and Remittances. In this session today, we'll be discussing remittances to Pakistan. I'm Amir Abedi, and I am the CMO here at Remit One. And I'll be hosting today's event. We have an hour and 15 minutes allocated for this webinar. For the first 40 minutes, I will moderate a panel discussion with our expert panelists here, whom I will introduce shortly. And then there will be 30 minutes at the end of the session for questions from the audience. The audience members are requested to leave their questions by clicking on the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom screen at any point during the webinar. And we will try to answer as many questions as we can at the end of the session. In some cases, if any of my panelists are discussing something and a question pops up which I feel is relevant, then I can pose the question right then and there to the panelists or panelists. Before we dive into the panel discussion, just a few words about Remit One, who we are, and how we support businesses in the money transfer industry. At Remit One, we assist a range of businesses, including startups, established money transfer operators, abbreviated as MTOs for the purpose of this session. We assist startups, MTOs, and banks by providing them with everything they need to start, run, and expand their global money transfer operation. We provide businesses with leading technology, enabling them to run their entire remittance business, enhance customer support, and simplify operations. And finally, we support business growth by connecting our clients to our global network that we have delicately nurtured over the past 15 plus years. I'd like to introduce our panelists here today. Joining us, Mr. Sajid Hamid, who is the Managing Director of eVantageSoft, a strategic partner of Remit One's as well. Sajid has over 27 years experience working in the IT software industry. He has worked with several local and international clients, including Fortune 500 companies. He is currently working as MD of eVantageSoft, who specialize in providing financial platforms and services ranging from cross-border payments, digital banking, mobile money, mobile wallet, international remittances, and other financial solutions. I'm also joined by my respected guest, Mr. Farouk Majid, who is Head of Home Remittances at the Bank of Punjab. Farouk has 20 plus experience in payment services, home remittances, and transaction banking in the financial sector. I'm also joined by Mr. Nadeem Qureshi, who is the Chief Technology Officer at USI Money, a Remit One client and a strategic partner. Nadeem has, again, 20 plus experience leading and founding international remittance businesses. He currently works as the CTO at USI. And finally, I have Mr. Abrar Amin, who is a seasoned banker by profession, having served in the banking industry for over 27 years with international and Pakistani banks at senior positions. For the last 8 years, he has been the CEO of one of Pakistan's largest financial services technology company, VRG, Virtual Remittance Gateway. So a big hello to everybody. Assalamu alaikum to everybody. Hope everybody's keeping well, and thank you for your time. We'll start the session now. Let's start with an interesting question, and I'd like, just to set the scene, I'd like Abrar Saab to start to address this question, and then we'll get some input from the other panelists as well. So originally, the World Bank predicted that global remittances were set to decline by 20% as a direct result of the pandemic. Was last year really as bad as expected in Pakistan? In your point of view, are we where you think we should be in terms of recovery?
Thank you for your introduction, Amir, and it's a pleasure to be here among the galaxy of August panelists. And I'm sure the questions and answers that we will have in the ensuing 1 hour will be very, very enlightening for everybody. And we will all learn from each other's experience and knowledge. Thank you for having me here. As to your question, I think that Pakistan has been one of those very rare, surprising cases, which although bore the brunt of the COVID pandemic. But because of certain measures taken by the government, were one of the first ones to successfully counter the impact of the pandemic and shield its population to a large degree from the extremely debilitating effects of the COVID's penetration in the general population strata. One of the measures that the government adopted was that instead of enforcing a complete lockdown on the entire country, as we have seen in several parts of the world, particularly in Europe, and also particularly in the UK and Australia, the government of Pakistan veered away from adopting this course, and they adopted a new mechanism or methodology, as you would put it, which is called micro.
Sorry, Abrar, I think I've lost you. We'll try and get you back. Nadeem, can you hear Abrar?
No, I think.
Okay, just want to double check. Farouk, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay, we'll try and get Abrar back. We got Sajid back.
Sorry, somebody. Yeah, I'm back. I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you now. Loud and clear.
So I will just repeat my last lines. The government of Pakistan adopted a new experiment in this lockdown strategy, and this is called micro smart lockdowns. So what happens in a micro smart lockdown is that instead of locking up your entire city, they started restricting the movement of the people in only the areas where a certain percentage of infectious rate was high. So that means instead of really punishing the whole community, they restricted the movements of only a particular geographical location in a particular town, so that the people who are infected the most in that particular locality don't come out and don't mingle with other people in the locality. So if you restrict the people in the locality, it automatically means that you are restricting those people from interacting with other people of the city as well. So by adopting this strategy, which was a novel one at that point in time, but later on, even the World Bank and several other health organizations also acknowledged the fact that this strategy really has worked. So we were able to intermittently close down and then reopen our economy to the betterment of everyone. The Prime Minister of Pakistan was very cognizant of the fact that the hardest hit people in this pandemic will be those who are at the bottom of the pyramid. So the daily wages, the people who sell their goods and goods on the carts, on the streets, the people who work like labor, homes and construction sites, and those people who are associated with the agricultural industry and the food growing industry, they should not be hampered in their movements. So as a result of that, although the impact on the prices was there, the impact on the production and the supply lines was absolutely minimal. So by adopting that strategy, the overall scenario of the economy was that we were able to withstand the main brunt of the COVID's negativity in terms of its impact on the economy of Pakistan. And by the grace of God, as things stand today, the World Bank has published a report in which the Pakistani GDP, to the surprise of everybody, grew by nearly 4% last year, which is really phenomenal if you look at what is happening around the world. So I hope this really gives you an insight into the question that you asked.
That's really great to hear. Great information. Farouk, would you like to add something to this, to what Abrar has said?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me here. And Abrar Saab has really set the tone that the World Bank predicted 20% decline. However, the results are totally different. We are on a 29.4% on a higher side as compared to the last year. The reason that has already been told by Abrar Saab, what government has ensured, what I think the primary thing is the continuity of services. This is very important. What as regulator and what the government has decided to provide this continuity of the services via digital means. Rules are railroads are already set. They pursued it. They implement it via banks and other fintech companies, and we have achieved this milestone where India, have you seen that there is a decline in the remittances in our neighbor and the other countries as well. Pakistan and along with the Bangladesh has seen the rise. So this is one of things that government has done. Secondly, the digital initiatives that has recently been launched by the government is Roshan Digital Account as well, where the customer has a choice of a sender has a choice that can open an account digitally anywhere in the world, and from there remittance could be sent to the country. And we have witnessed that almost $1.5 billion have been routed from this channel, and this also open an opportunity for overseas Pakistanis to not only send remittance but to invest in the avenues that government is providing. For example, the security certificates we have, the real estate investment opportunities for overseas. So we are going towards that financial ecosystem where we are connecting an overseas Pakistani to the local system as well, local banking system as well. So this will have a long-term impact and will really pay off. So currently the numbers are very good. The track is there, and we are on a very right direction. And regulator is very supportive. That I must encourage. And
Mhm.
government is daily on daily basis. They are encouraging digital the fintech companies. The regulator is very supportive. So we have a good combination right now here that make us possible to attract this type of volumes.
I think, correct me
Yeah.
if I'm wrong, but in terms of remittances, Pakistan in the last 12 months has not gone below $2 billion per month, which is, I
Yeah,
think, yeah, and that's
that's
a great
very.
record. Yeah.
So it's the first time in the history that
Mhm,
the remittance has been crossing 2 billion per month. So this is
mhm.
another and healthy development at Pakistan, and very
Okay,
encouraging
so
one
so
as well.
so it would be interesting to get Nadim's input now here because Farouk and Abrar, they have kindly shared obviously the state of play in Pakistan. Nadim, you are on the sending side. You're on the opposite side of the transaction, if you will. What's your take on this?
Absolutely. I think what Mr. Ibrar and Farooq have mentioned, they sort of outlined and showed on a country level what sort of steps have been taken by sort of government initiatives and the regulators. But I think in terms of from an out to in type situation, if you look at that historically, remitters have had always a very close relationship with the beneficiaries. For example, typically in Pakistan, over 50% of I would say remittances that are sent are normally for family support, for example, in terms of when it comes for reasons for sending funds abroad. And also you would see that it's sort of a regular type remittance type instruction where people are sending and meeting monthly commitments. So in terms of the bond between senders and receivers, that's something which is sort of unbreakable. So and that's historically one of the fundamentals of why sort of overseas Pakistanis, migrant workers, for example, from the GCC and Far East. These are types of users or individuals that have to make these monthly payments. And like it was mentioned earlier, having good, robust digital initiatives and innovation allows, especially during things like COVID, where we had the traditional MTOs, the shop fronts which were closed, in different jurisdictions. That's actually saw a big increase towards people registering on apps, for example, as opposed to going onto local offices or money transfer operators. And I think Pakistan was able to weather that quite well. And hence, December 2020, you had record numbers, even better than December 2019, when the pandemic was just about to hit globally. It was full effect in March. So, I mean, I think these types of things will always sort of keep Pakistan at some strategic advantage. So yeah, absolutely.
And in terms of, you see, Pakistan is very unique. The Pakistan Remittance Initiative, which is a very unique model. And correct me if I'm wrong, you're, Abrar Saab, Farooq Saab, I don't think there's any other receiving country that has adopted a model like PRI. So Pakistan is unique, and this model has really helped Pakistan as well. So how much success would, this 30%, as Farooq mentioned, 30% increase in remittances, how much success would you attribute, how much of this success would you attribute to the PRI model itself? Anyone can take this question.
Farooq, I would request you to take this question first, and then I will add a few lines after that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, Amir, you're right. PRI is a unique proposition, and we are the only bank, we are the only country in the world, I must say, that is having this proposition where remittance to Pakistan is free of cost. This is the country like Pakistan where we have a very price conscious community here, and mostly blue collar laborers are sending the remittances. So price is a major factor. So what government has done through PRI is make that remittance free above $100. So that has changed the entire payment systems. That has discouraged the illegal channels, because illegal, again, is not so safe, and you have to bear a lot of cost as well. One thing, they waive the charges. Secondly, they made a system-based improvement. For example, it's a real-time transactions in Pakistan. So at the moment the transaction booked, it's available here, and all the banks are connected via an API with our correspondent partners. So the road, the fintech, the digital journey, everyone has contributed a lot, and PRI, no doubt, has played the vital role in bridging all this remittances globally. I must give a credit to this government, State Bank of Pakistan, that they keep on supporting the banks and the overseas partners by giving a lot of other incentives in terms of marketing, in terms of support, in terms of digital journey, in terms of regulation as well. Because banks, there are a lot of relaxed regulations for the remittances. For example, we have an Asan remittance account where a beneficiary can open by just having a biometric, and its account is open. There is no tax on the remittances. Whatever the withdrawal you make from your account, it's a tax free. So a lot of contribution has been done, and it's a long journey, and it's now it's paying off as well. So I think this is it from my side. Brad Sab, you can add anything.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Thank you, Farooq. You see, the PRI is not a new initiative, and it has been going on for the last several years, and it has really benefited the Pakistani diaspora in easily transferring money to their loved ones in Pakistan. However, I will say that the recent rise or the increase in the remittances from overseas Pakistanis to Pakistan is not directly the result of the PRI's initiative, because these have been going on for the last several years. It is a contributory factor, no doubt. And as Farooq pointed out, Pakistanis are extremely cost conscious, and they like to know why they are spending the money, not where, but why. So if they don't really are convinced, if they are not really convinced that the money they are spending will give them any value, they will not incur that expense. So PRI has shouldered that responsibility of easing these people's fears that they should not be worried about
Right.
spending any money to receive funds from their relatives abroad. However, I think due credit should be and has to be given to the present government in Pakistan. Although I'm apolitical, but as an observer of the economy, I can say that the credit really goes because the confidence of the people residing abroad has really increased in Pakistan's economy.
That's
Previously,
great.
they were
Yeah.
afraid. You see, because of my long history of the banking career, I remember that particular day on the 28th of May, 1998, when the Pakistani government had frozen the foreign currency accounts of all the Pakistani nationals and even the foreign nationals who were having foreign currency accounts in Pakistan. And that really totally shattered the confidence of
Trust.
everyone.
Yeah.
So since 1998, you see, we are now in 2020 and 2021. It has taken a huge amount of effort, and the ability of the people to have trust and faith in keeping their funds in foreign currency and hard currency has really gained confidence and traction now. So this government has done a lot in allaying the fears of overseas Pakistanis. And as Farooq pointed out, the Russian digital account, and for those who don't understand what Russian is, this means bright, shining, glowing. So this is the Russian digital account. It has made the lives of people living abroad as well as those living in Pakistan a whole lot easier. And people who have been settled there, settled abroad for a lot many years, are now bringing that money back to Pakistan, firstly as an investment, and even as a short-term placement of funds in Pakistan, and that has really helped increase the number of volumes of remittances and as well as the amount of remittances. Thank you.
Great. Great. That's really, really great to hear. It's all positive. Is Sajid here? Do we have Sajid? Okay,
Yeah,
great.
I'm here.
That is obviously.
I'm
We've talked about we've
yeah,
briefly touched
I'm
on
here.
the state of play in
So
Pakistan.
very interesting
We've
question.
touched on
I wanted to ask, and
PRI.
we already have taken.
Sorry, Sajid, can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay, I think there's some confusion here. We'll try and let's go to Nadeem. That's fine. Nadeem, let's start with another question now. In terms of
Hello,
shifts,
can you hear me?
you're on the sending side. You're based in the UK. What shifts have you seen, and what do you think will stick in the long term? Is the growth of digital payments, from your perspective as a sending entity, sustainable post-COVID? What's your take on this?
I think it's an interesting point, and I think there's a varying degree of factors. And just to break up the question, is it sustainable? Absolutely. If COVID has done anything in terms of the digitalization or push, it's actually accelerated it. So we have to remember this pandemic was it was unexpected. There wasn't really any plans, etc. And what it sort of done is it's, I think, escalated the traditional methods and means that were being used pre-COVID. So sustainability, absolutely. In terms of the evolution of products and now what comes as a result of this digitalization, that can now only naturally progress because more and more users are using these methods. And earlier on, when we spoke about, for example, if we speak about Pakistan as a context, that, the 30% increase, again, there's a varying degree of effects that we were able to, for example, implement and really make this effectively this push a success.
In terms of, this significant jump, 30% increase. Of course, I think we've touched on some of the reasons why this has happened. Digital push, FX. I think not. We should not forget the steps that the Pakistani State Bank has taken to get more people to send money through formal channels, which is a commendable effort, of course, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So more informal uh, people using informal channels are moving to formal channels, something that the World Bank wants from everybody. And I think Pakistan is a leading example and leading by example rather, which is great. In terms of shifts, like we know that digital is now here, and I think is it safe to say that the the sending behavior of the Pakistani diaspora will be digital moving forward, or do you see this shift happening gradually? Um, do you see what do you see
yes,
how
yes.
what's
So,
your take
so
on
in
this?
terms of in terms of the shift, I think that's already well underway. We've mentioned earlier on Pakistan in terms of a receiving country. It has a very good mature market. So what we're doing is we're just seeing a change in the usage of that sending method. Pakistan is already a top five from the UK in terms of a recipient of remittances. It's definitely top five in about 50% of the other uh, big geographical locations, GCC, etc. And the reason it's a top five is because it has good infrastructure. It's able to handle that, and it's been able to use these foreign remittances to grow and to grow internally as well and better its procedures. It's only natural that the push towards digitalization is going to happen. Pakistan, in terms of on a local government level, they are trying to move away from a cash type society or country, and any young country, it's actually imperative that that actually happens. We're not like the UK where we were sort of cash based and we've had a slow how do I say, migration to digital methods. If you look at Africa in the third world, and this is just as an example, if you look at things like mobile money and e-wallet type functionality there, it's actually extremely advanced. Although you're in a region where you would actually not really take these things sometimes people take it for granted, and that's exactly the same thing with Pakistan. The shift is already underway, and it's only a matter of time that we will start to see more and more initiatives. And I think COVID, again, just going back to that it's just escalated that due process. So it's actually just enhanced it. It's given it a little push. And it's also effectively a wake-up call to traditional MTOs that were processing and sending agents in certain maybe pre-2000 levels, the manual type systems, the cash type systems, maybe not using the PRI channels, using alternate means, peer-to-peer set-offs, etc., which are also, in terms of the benefit to the country and not having a benefit. So there's sort of a varying degree of, I think, reasons. But yes, the push definitely underway.
A couple of things. Thank you, Nadeem. I need to get input from Sajid as well. But before we do that, do we have any data I mean, I think this question is more for Abrar Saab and Farooq Saab. In terms of, what percentage of this 30% increase is coming from digital channels? I mean, on the payout side in Pakistan, of course, you might be paying out cash, but if the source is digital, whether it's in the UK, Europe, or North America or Saudi Arabia, do we have this data? What percentage of this increase is coming from digitally sourced channels?
Uh, yes, Amir, I would like to comment on this. Uh, there is no research or there is no data actually available, but by digital means you are saying that the transaction route from point A to point B. Yes, of course, all these transactions that we are processing in terms of remittances, is in 99%. I'm sure that it's on real-time basis. It's on via digital medium, where banks are connected with the MTOs, with the MSBs
Right.
on a real time, on a digital mechanism. Secondly, what interesting is, on a recipient side, there is also a disbalance that over-the-counter payments was almost 70%. If we look into it, the overall behavior of remittance, 70% of this, the whole pie is over the counter. But we have recently discussed with the regulator as well, and they told us a very interesting fact that now the division has been distributed up to 50-50%, means 50% accounts transfers and 50% is over the counter. So this is a big shift. People are now getting money in their wallets, in their accounts, and same they are withdrawing it through ATMs, through branchless banking agents. So the digital has really paid off, and we are going towards the right direction.
So you're saying that 30%, that's why, okay, my apologies. I should have phrased the question better. When I say digital, um, I'm I mean that the sender, the Pakistani diaspora on the sending side, they're using either a mobile phone or an app, a mobile app or an online portal to initiate their transaction, right? To initiate a transaction, not how it's paid out in Pakistan, how the transaction is initiated. And I think you've answered that. I think if I understand you correctly, and for the benefit of my audience here, what you're saying is that 30% safely, give or take, so roughly 30% of the transactions are being initiated using a digital medium, i.e., a mobile app or an online portal. And the aim is to get this number up to 50%. Did I get this right?
No, Amir, what I have told you is basically the at the recipient side. The
Yeah.
recipients, because we can only count on what is going on the recipient side, but on the send side, uh, I can quote that STC Pay, if you heard about it, the
Yeah.
Saudi
Saudi
Arab
Arabia.
market, where the large diaspora is residing there. So you have noticed that it's totally a digital platform from sending remittance to
Mhm.
the entire globe. So at this point, they are leading the country. They are leading it. So this could be one of the best example. And they recently issued two. They have recently upgraded their license to a digital bank as well. So,
Right.
yes, there's a major contribution on the send side as well, where customers are transferring money through their mobile apps, through their internet accounts.
Mhm.
We have witnessed a lot of MTOs that has been shifted from a regular bricks and model to the digital apps and digital solution as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So,
One more thing. One more thing.
so Amir, I would like to add something in here
Yes,
on the same topic. Yeah, sorry about the connection earlier. So, yeah, I mean, Farooq Saab and Nadeem has said a lot about the shifts we have seen. But to me, I think the one of the major shifts, there are so many shifts happened during this pandemic time, but
yeah.
one of the major shift I see is the nature of transaction, the movement of nature of transaction from a more traditional remittance model to the purpose-based remittance, right?
Mhm.
While they were like, there was an adverse impact on many of the industry sectors in Pakistan as well as globally. There were some sectors which were like really got attracted, got boomed during this time, got time till overnight because of the pandemic situation. All those, I mean, those were not online and digital before that, right? And fintechs in Pakistan, most of the fintechs who are already in the market before this time, they have their platforms for purpose-based remittances, but for some reason or another, they were not, capturing the market share. OneLink was the only key player, if I say. It was the providing the billing aggregation service in Pakistan, but the most of the fintechs took this opportunity and taken out, onboarded a lot of, hundreds of businesses during this time, right? And both formal and informal sectors like insurance companies, schools, universities, educational institutes, the investment mutual funds, the clubs, the facilities which are being used. So now the base platform is ready for the domestic remittance, purpose-based remittance is available, is ready, and we need to make sure that we have to enable the sending side of it, the foreign remittance part, to move to this purpose-based remittance, right? Where
Sorry, Sajid, if I could request you to just repeat the last
for the services, and directly, I mean, instead of paying to the banks and going to the bank and everything. Hello.
Yes, Sajid, I think we lost you for about 10 seconds or 15 seconds. So if you could kindly repeat the last two sentences.
Okay,
you're
sorry
making
about
that. Maybe one thing,
there's
can I suggest, because we're having some bandwidth issues, can I request that you disable video, and once you've, yeah, it might help speed up,
Okay.
sort out the bandwidth issue, because you're saying something really valuable for us and the audience, and I don't want us to miss that. Can you repeat that, please? Your last
Yeah,
few.
sure. So what I was saying, that the base platform is available for the purpose-based remittance in Pakistan for domestic purposes, right? And we really need to enable this platform for the foreign remittance as well, right? Purpose-based, where the sender can send money to their family over here for the services they are availing, and they can pay tuition fees, they can pay directly to the merchants, they can pay.
If I may just add to that.
Yeah.
I think it was earlier on, it was mentioned, so in terms of receiving instructions, if we were to define maybe, so when
utility bills and all those things, the role and impact shift from the traditional remittance model, the online experiences. On the other side, the MTOs, the sending side, the MTOs and the RSPs, the remittance service providers, they can offer online experience to their customers. They can showcase multiple products and services to their customers, and of course, hence increase the transaction volumes on their side.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you, Sajid. Thank you. Nadeem had a comment. Nadeem, please, can you?
Yeah, I just wanted to sort of clearly define that. So in terms of, if we were to look at this from a 360 level, in terms of the whole sequence of events, from the point a customer or client creates a transaction to his beneficiary receiving, there's a lot of players. Obviously, it went from maybe manual to part automated to fully automated to fully in terms of the whole digital process. So on a local level, when data is received, it is distributed, using systems, etc. And nowadays, in terms of this acceleration towards digitalization, in terms of what traditional MTOs were doing, it's actually quite easy nowadays to enter that space, because you have, technology providers like Remit One, who are able to sort of take the stresses away of people creating sort of in-house systems and the updating and the complications. So it's actually quite easy in certain respects to go digital. So MTOs that have relationships with locally, for example, on a payout network level, it's a natural progression for them to make sure that the whole process is sort of done end to end. And there's no sort of prehistoric methods. And on just on one last point is the competition. everybody, because it's a high receiving country and it's a high send country in terms of from an international standpoint, there's always going to be competition, and that's only going to accelerate the growth. And that cannot be achieved if we don't go for this sort of accelerated process. And I think Mr. Farooq mentioned earlier on, like STC Pay. So Saudi Arabia is probably, we have the biggest migrant type community locally. And traditionally, it was sort of walking to the banks, etc., that would provide over-the-counter services. And you can just, STC is, I think, one of the ideal cases where you see the explosion of growth and how quickly when the usage or the take-up of that usage has actually happened is quite amazing, because these migrant workers, for example, they've got the accesses to smartphones, and it's not that they were not educated. It actually caught on fire pretty quick, and I think that's a really good example that was mentioned by Farooq.
Thank you, Nadeem. I'd like to get some input from Abrar Saab as well on this point.
On the applicability of the digital platforms for international remittances, you mean?
Yes, please. Yeah.
You see, okay. So this is a topic. Allow me to say that dives right into the heart of the financial inclusion endgame, because you see, Pakistan has a unique place and position in the world. It is the 5th most populous country in the world right now, which is absolutely amazing. But at the same time, 60% of our population is under 25 years of age. Can you imagine? So if I give you the numbers, you'll be even more astonished. There are over 166 million adults in Pakistan, and the definition of an adult in Pakistan is anyone who attains the age of 18 and is issued a national identity card by the NADRA, which is a National Database Registration Authority. So by last count, there are 166 million adults in Pakistan. But look at the horrific side. There are only about 45 million bank account holders, with all the banks in Pakistan combined. On the other side of the coin, there are 183 million mobile phone subscribers. So on one side, you have this huge telecom subscriber population, or a base, as you might call it. On the other hand, you have about 45 million bank account holders, and you have a delta of nearly 140 million people. Now, you take into account the duplication of SIMs and the duplication of accounts and everything, we still have, according to the World Bank, 100 million people who don't have a bank account. Imagine this number is larger than the population of several countries combined in Europe, just as an example. So when you have a population who does not even have a bank account, do you imagine the impact it will have on the international remittances, on the amount of deposit people can hold in their virtual accounts, if we are able to introduce an easy digitally enabled platform for the common guy who lives in a village, who is living far away from the cities, who is living even farther away from any bank branch or so on, because the total number of bank branches in Pakistan has unfortunately also not increased beyond 13 or 14,000 branches. Now, with these numbers, it would seem like a horrendous challenge for anybody, for any government for that matter, for any policymaker, to ensure that the financial services reach the tail end of the masses. The tail end of the masses can only be reached through a digital mechanism. Because as I've just mentioned, with 13.5 or 14,000 bank branches for the last 75 years of Pakistan's existence, it is simply not acceptable anymore. So the only way that we can hope to reach these people who are also disenfranchised, who are outside the domain of the financial inclusion, is through the digital means. I'm very sure that there are millions of people in Pakistan who can still receive remittances, who are not receiving it, and they're receiving it through money changers and through Hundi and Hawala people. We will discuss that. We can discuss it if you would like to, but suffice to say at this point in time that the remittances are also still dependent on the money changers. And Farooq would probably vouch for me on this statement that not all remittances are coming through the banking channels even today. So if we take into account that exponential value of the remittances that the banks can still tap for the formal channel, through the formal channel, it can only happen through a digital means, through a digital platform. Now, one of the mechanisms, or one of the, as the French say, one of the raisons d'etre of having the national financial inclusion regime in Pakistan was to enable, first of all, these 100 million people to have a very basic bank account. Unless and until you have a vehicle, unless and until you have a channel through which you can interact with the bank. Now, the interesting thing is another one. I might be digressing, but I think it's relevant to the discussion we are having right now. That only about 60% of the people in Pakistan, only 40% of the people in Pakistan have a smartphone, and 60% don't. When you have the technology that enables people to connect their smartphones to an app, is only restricted to the main cities. And as soon as you leave the main city, you are lost. I mean, because you don't have Wi-Fi, you don't have data, 3G or 4G. So people are still dependent on their basic communication on a feature phone. Now, as part of the experiment that the government of Pakistan has initiated for bringing 65 million new people into the financial inclusion domain, the brainstorming was held about 4 years ago between Pakistan Telecommunication Authority's bosses and the State Bank of Pakistan's top management on how to bring these 100 million people into the financial inclusion domain. So they found out that it will be an uphill battle if the banks rely on the expansion, on the traditional expansion mechanism, which is by opening new branches. It is not happening. And if it is happening, it is not happening at the pace at which this problem can be solved. The other thing that they were confronted with was that the rate of the growth of the smartphone penetration was low because the prices of the smartphones were very high and not many people were able to afford it. Even today, buy a feature phone can only do so because the feature phone you can now buy for as low as 2,000 rupees, which is less than $20. But the smartphone prices have still not fallen down appreciably so that anybody who is holding a feature phone can switch over to a smartphone. So unless and until we achieve that shift, the goal of the financial inclusion will still be muted. Right. At the same time, the technology that was chosen as an interim solution was the USSD technology, through which the State Bank of Pakistan, the government of Pakistan, and the Pakistan Telecommunication Authority hope that people will be encouraged to at least open a basic bank account, which is the Asan mobile account, through the USSD technology. Now, to give you a very simple analogy, the USSD technology enables anyone to operate a bank account through a simple GSM mode. So you don't need any Wi-Fi connectivity or a 4G or a 3G connectivity. You don't even need an app or a smartphone. So wherever you can send an SMS, you can do your banking at that spot. It is as simple as that. So we are just into the entrance of that new wave of financial inclusion, where the government hopes that by 2023, now we're in the middle of 2021, by 2023 there will be 65 million more people who will have a basic bank account in which they can receive any amount of remittance, be it a local remittance or a foreign remittance. The goal of the planners in Pakistan is that once these people open their Asan mobile accounts, then through people like Mr. Farooq Majid, who are already, doing a tremendous job in the market, handling international remittances, they can somehow plug into this system of simple USSD, access for the masses, so that the same bank account which is available for local use can also be tapped for crediting international remittances from abroad, either directly or through mediums as Bank of Punjab and other banks who are already handling international remittances through various gateways. I hope I.
Sorry, Abrar, I lost you. I think the last 5 seconds.
Okay.
We missed
Okay.
that. But I think
yes, I will
understand.
repeat. I will repeat what I said. What I was saying was that if the experiment with the USSD technology is a success, and the government of Pakistan is able to convince these unbanked people to open a basic simple bank account remotely, without signing a paper, without biometric authentication, without going to a bank branch for biometric authentication, it will be a big win for not only the government of Pakistan, but also for the banks, because by adding 60 or 65 million people into the main financial inclusion network, they will be able to then go to these banks who are already very active in international remittance business to get international remittances directly onto their mobile phones, onto their virtual accounts for the purpose that is actually intended for. So this is the change that we are hoping we will be able to bring into the Pakistani population in the next year and a half or so.
Okay. So I mean, I was going to save this question for later, but because you've touched on this, let me ask now, and this is a question to everybody. Based on what you said, interoperability. Interoperability is obviously the buzzword, right? And it's a buzzword that's being used in Africa, in India, and so on and so forth. And I think it ties in with what you just said, what you just eloquently explained. Um, you have 65 million new users. They're gonna get money onto their mobile phone. Now they need to make use of this money, right? And that money has to flow through the Pakistani ecosystem. How far are we? I think you mentioned this already. By 2023, a year and a half from now, you want everybody to be able to interoperate together. So what that means is, if I'm in Islamabad, I have money sitting on my phone, and I am with, let's say, um, Vodafone, and you are with, let's say, Three Mobile or T-Mobile rather. I should be able to send money from my account to yours without any issues. Right now, I think these operators operate in silos in their own ecosystems, right? How far are we from this utopic state where I can do everything without um, um, any inhibitions, basically, any restrictions, rather?
Okay. The reason I'm smiling is that I will have to, sound my own trumpet, my company's trumpet, because VRG is the only company in Pakistan that holds a license for interoperability among all the telecom players already. So we have already done it. There are all the 4 telecom operators are interoperable with us right now. And through our USSD platform, we are already able to connect the mobile phone subscriber of any telecom operator with the other telecom operator, and also with any of the banks that are connected to our platform. So the real interoperability is already in practice. It is there. It is a reality on the ground. The only thing waiting to happen is an official announcement from the central bank. Basically, they're waiting for the Prime Minister to launch the scheme. It is as simple as that. So once this public announcement is done, then the fruits of the interoperability will be felt and experienced by everybody in Pakistan. So I'm really putting this fact on the table that right now, the 183 million mobile phone subscribers are interoperable through the VRG USSD platform.
So I just need clarity on this. Sorry. So this is great. It's all great stuff that, but if I were to, so if I understood this correctly, if let's say MobiLink user wants to send money to Uphone user, for them to do that, do they a mobile wallet to mobile wallet? So let's say MobiLink mobile wallet to to Uphone mobile wallet. Would they have to go through some an entity like VRG? And without that, if you take VRG out of the equation, this is not possible. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, Amir, I would like to answer
There are
this
two
question.
things. There are two parts of your question. Please go ahead. Farooq, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Okay, Brasab, I think you should continue.
There are two parts. So one part is regarding the banking interoperability through a banking switch, and the other is interoperability among the telecom subscribers. Now, I will address both the questions separately, and then I'll ask my friend Farooq to elaborate further, because he's currently sitting on the banking side, so he's in a better position to obviously give you a point of view from the banking industry's perspective. The interoperability among the telecom operators means that anyone who wishes to access another subscriber of another telecom operator. So I'm trying to define this as easily as possible. If a subscriber of a telecom operator wishes to access the subscriber of another telecom operator, then yes, he or she has to go through the VRG platform. This is number one. That is why the government of Pakistan has given VRG the license for third-party service provider, TPSP, which is a unique license because it enables us to merge all the 4 USSD gateways of all the 4 telecom operators into our own gateway, neutralize it, and then send it to the bank of a customer's or a subscriber's choice. This is the facilitation that is now taking place through the VRG's USSD platform. The other thing is that there is a settlement, financial settlement, that has to take place among the banks. So the banks are already using OneLink for that settlement. And we have left it to the bank's own choice whether they want to do this settlement through the existing channel without disturbing anything that they have already they are already operating or have been using for the last several years, or if they wish to convert it through the VRG switch, because VRG switch is also recognized and licensed by the State Bank of Pakistan as an electronic payment gateway for financial settlements. Then the banks are welcome to do it, but we have not made it mandatory for any bank to use only the VRG's electronic payment gateway for financial settlements. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you for that insight, for sharing that insight. Farooq Saab, your input, please, on this from the banking perspective.
I think a very detailed discussion has been done by Brad, but I just want to add a few things. Your question is that whether a Jazz account holder can transfer into the mobile on the Telenor wallet. The simple answer is yes, it's there. So interoperability is already practicing in Pakistan, and it's on the mobile side, it's there. On the banking side, there's a country switch that is called OneLink that already connects all the MNOs and also the banking sector as well. For example, if what in our remittance system, what we have done is basically we have made a connectivity with the OneLink. From there, whenever we receive a remittance, for example, for a Jazz wallet, it will be processed on 24/7 basis without any manual intervention. It's totally digital. Similarly, if I got a payment from another bank, so it's interconnected, and the payment will be immediately credited to the third-party bank. So the railroads are there, the system is already in place, and we are doing it from a couple of years. So this is something that we have been practiced, and we, as a country, we have a large remittance share on the digital side as well. So this is my feedback on the question as well.
Okay, great. Thank you. In terms of financial inclusion, Abrar Saab mentioned financial inclusion. He shared some really interesting stats. Um, this was going to be my next question anyways, but we've already covered this. So that's great. In terms of innovation, right? Central Bank of Pakistan, how this question is for everybody. What is the role of the central bank in Pakistan? Do current regulations impede or enable innovations in the industry? Now, this is an important question. Obviously, you all have answered this question in various ways. We know that the State Bank of Pakistan is very innovative and does support this industry very much. The PRI initiative is just one example. But it's important for technopreneurs or fintech entrepreneurs in Pakistani technopreneurs in sending countries. There is a rise in fintech startups by Pakistanis in the UK, in Europe, for example. Um, do you think they will get the support they need from the State Bank of Pakistan? Is the bank completely behind them? And is there any, can you cite some evidences? It's for everybody, for the question. It's not.
Uh, okay, so yes, a lot of discussion has been done, but to add, again, I would like to contribute that central bank is right now is totally committed to the digital initiatives, and they have successfully implemented deep-rooted fiscal and monetary structural reforms as well. And obviously, COVID has expedited the process, but a very proactive approach by the central bank in assessing and evolving related situation around the globe and within the country, enabling it to identify the issues in a timely manner and implement policy prescriptions necessary for ensuring continuous provision of financial services to the all masses. For example, SVP took various regulatory measures to promote digital payments, including strengthening the legal and oversight framework of payment systems, digital onboarding of merchants, and standardization of QR codes as well, improving payment card acceptance in Pakistan, enhancing cyber resilience, improving the large value payments and settlement system, and so on, so on. And the development is going on. The other thing that I have mentioned for an overseas, that a complete digital onboarding platform has been established and implemented as well. And the same, the Roshan digital account is one of the example. That is the shortest time frame that platform is open, and within 7-8 months, 1.5 billion has been
And
deposited in RDA account, So central bank is very flexible to the ideas, and they are very open and looking what is going on globally and what can be done instantly for the Pakistan. And similarly, the banks, for example, if this initiative is open, what Bank of Punjab has done, Bank of Punjab has basically launched the Roshan digital account, and it's the first free Roshan digital account. That means we are not taking any cost. So we're ahead of what has been required, and we are encouraging people to enter into the financial systems, and you don't have to pay anything. Again, the cost is a very attractive, cost play a very major role in attracting the diaspora to attach to the systems, so that they don't feel any hesitance that about the charges and about the other paper-based system processes that we have. So there are a
okay,
number of initiatives I can talk. I think I would like to have here about other opinions as well.
yeah, sure. Some input from Sajid Saab as well would be great.
May I add something
Yes.
at this point? Yeah, okay. You see, international remittance is a very precious commodity for Pakistan.
Mhm.
Let me put it that way. The reason is that we have a growing economy, we have a developing economy, we have a large segment of population which is dependent on remittances from abroad for their day-to-day existence. And according to one estimate, there are something like 17 million Pakistanis who live abroad and who send remittances back home every month.
Mhm.
Now, State Bank of Pakistan has been a very cautious player, very cautious regulator also, which is rightly so. Uh, one one proof of the caution and the precaution is that from the point of Pakistan's creation till today, not a single bank has filed for bankruptcy in Pakistan. You name one country in Europe or you name any bank in USA that has not at one point or another been threatened with bankruptcy. But in Pakistan, not a single bank has collapsed, not gone under. And that is the credit for that goes to the State Bank of Pakistan, truly. So being a very cautious player, and I can imagine why, because also because of my long innings with the banking industry, I've had a very close interaction with the State Bank for many, many years. Even today, we are connected to the State Bank. They don't like um ordinary people to be duped by fraudulent players in the market who are there to defraud these people of their hard-earned savings or their earnings or the remittances. For that purpose, State Bank of Pakistan insists that the international remittances should only be channeled through legal means. And when it says legal means, it prefers that the international remittances should be channeled through a banking player. In the recent times, the State Bank of Pakistan has allowed one other form of legalized financial services platform, and that is the EMI, Electronic Money Institute. It is a fully regulated entity in the private sector, but it has been given certain rights and privileges to enable certain services for the common people. There too, you would be surprised that the account of the Electronic Money Institute has to be held with a commercial bank. It has not been given full independence by the State Bank of Pakistan because it is cognizant of the fact that when a public's money is channeled through any system, then it should be properly regulated, there should be a proper trail, and it should be traceable. So the EMIs are just coming into their form right now. Approximately, if I'm not mistaken, about 11 in principle approvals have already been given. Out of that, 3 of them or 4 are in the pilot stages. One of them has really become fully operational. So this entity is now also going to work in tandem with the commercial banks for serving 2 purposes. One is the penetration of financial services among the masses. And number 2, supporting the banking framework that already exists in the country for additional services to the people who cannot reach a bank branch in Pakistan, which, as I mentioned earlier, only number about 13,500. So the EMI is another framework. A couple of months back, the State Bank of Pakistan also floated the first ever framework, draft framework of a digital bank in Pakistan. So I expect that by December 2021, the full regulations pertaining to the setting up of a digital bank will also be released by the State Bank, further simplifying the access to financial services of a common man. And this will be a big step in formalizing, channelizing legal remittances right down to the last mile of the Pakistani population.
Very interesting. Thank you for that insight. We've got 4 minutes left. I need 2 minutes to close. Sajid Saab, you've got. Sorry to be. Don't mean to sound rude. You got 1 minute.
No, I understand. I think, but when you have experts in the panel, then it's very difficult to person. So anyway, so I'm just going to take what Abrar Saab has said, that the existence of all these digital infrastructures available both at the government level. Abrar Saab talked about the AMA platform. There's going to be a flagship
Sadi Saab, can I request you to disable video because we seem to be having bandwidth issues again. I can't hear you. I think we lost you, Sadi Saab. No, Sadi Saab, I think we lost you. Unfortunately, can't hear you. Oh, that's a shame. I wanted to hear what Sajid Saab had to say. Okay, well, we'll have to wrap up now because we have another session starting in a few minutes. So thank you very much to everybody. There's so much to discuss. It was a really fruitful discussion, very engaging, all extremely relevant to ourselves, to myself, to my audience. Thank you very much to everybody for attending this session, and a big thanks to all our panelists. We hope you found the session useful. And our next panel will be starting today at 11:30 a.m. GMT +1. After that, at 1:30 p.m. UK time, which is again GMT +1, we will be discussing stepping up mobile payments and reaching the unbanked. Make sure you don't miss these sessions. If you want to review what has been discussed today, we'll be providing a written summary and video upload of all of today's session. And just check our website. And in our next Remit One newsletter, we will give you, a brief, a summary with these recordings as well. And lastly, thanks again to everybody. It was a pleasure having everyone on board, and it was an absolute pleasure, really, exchanging ideas. And I've learned a lot, and I'm sure my audience has learned a lot from this session as well. And it's quite, and I think there's an air of optimism in the air, especially for our Pakistani entrepreneurs. There's a lot of hope, and we're banking on Pakistan to lead the way, inshallah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.